Tales of the Supernatural. The Signalman by Charles Dickens. Chapter 1. A Strange Meeting. Hello? When I called the signalman, I was above him on the hill, but he did not look up. He looked along the railway line towards the tunnel. Hello down there! I called again. Then he looked up and saw me. Where's the path? I asked. How can I come down and speak to you? He did not answer me. Just then, a train came out of the tunnel. The signalman had a flag in his hand, and he showed it when the train passed. Again, I asked him where the path was. He pointed his flag at the hill, and I saw a path that went down. All right! Thanks! I shouted. I went down the wet path. The signalman was waiting for me at the bottom of the hill. He was standing between the railway lines with a strange, nervous expression on his face. The place was quiet and lonely. High walls blocked out a lot of the sky, so there was not much sun there, and it was dark. I looked along the line and saw a red light in front of the entrance to the black tunnel. Then I went up to the signalman, but he moved away from me. He looked at me strangely. It's very lonely here, I said. You don't get many visitors. Am I disturbing you? He did not answer, but looked at the red light near the tunnel. Why are you watching that light? I asked. Is that part of your job? He answered quietly,
Don't you know it is?
Suddenly, the horrible idea came to me that he was a ghost, not a man. So I moved away. But then I saw fear in his eyes. Are you afraid of me? I asked.
I was thinking, perhaps I've seen you before.
Where? He pointed to the red light.
There.
Why? I've never been there before.
No, perhaps you haven't.
Then he began to relax. He took me into his signal box. Have you got much work to do here? I asked.
No, not very much. But I have to be very attentive and careful,
he replied. What are your responsibilities?
I change the signal, pull these switches, and check that the red light is working,
he explained. Do you ever feel lonely? I asked.
No, I'm used to it.
Can't you ever go out into the sunlight?
Yes, sometimes when the weather is good. But I must always listen for the electric bell and watch the red light.
I looked around his signal box. There was a fire, a desk, a telegraph machine for receiving and sending messages, and a little electric bell.
When I was a young man, I studied science,
he told me. The bell suddenly rang. He received messages and sent replies. Then he showed his flag when a train passed. He did everything very precisely. During our conversation, he opened the door twice and looked at the red light. He came back to the fire with an anxious expression. I wanted to know why, so I asked, Are you a happy man?
I was happy once,
he replied.
But now I'm worried, sir.
Why? What's the problem?
It's difficult to say. If you come again, I'll try and tell you,
he said. When shall I come?
I'll be here again at 10 o'clock tomorrow night, sir.
I'll come at 11 then, I replied. It was dark outside, so he showed me to the path with his light.
"Don't call out, 'Hello,' again, please," he said.
All right.
"And don't call out when you come tomorrow night. Why did you shout, 'Hello down there,' tonight?"
he asked. I don't know. Did I say those exact words?
"Yes. I know those words very well."
I think I said them because I saw you down here, I said.
"Is that the only reason?"
Yes, of course. Why?
"You don't think there was any supernatural reason?"
he asked. No. Then we said good night, and I returned to my hotel. Chapter 2. Danger. I arrived at 11 the following night. The signalman was waiting for me with his light. You see, I didn't call out, I said, smiling. We walked to the signal box and sat down by the fire.
"I've decided to tell you what disturbs me,"
he began in a quiet voice.
"Yesterday evening, I thought you were somebody else."
Who? I asked.
"I don't know.
Does he look like me?
I've never seen his face, because his left arm is always in front of it. He waves his right arm like this."
And he waved violently, like somebody trying to say, "Please get out of the way."
"One night,"
continued the signalman,
"the moon was shining and I was sitting here. Suddenly I heard a voice. 'Hello down there!' I went to the door and looked out. There was somebody by the red light near the tunnel, and he was waving. 'Look out! Look out!' he shouted. And then again, 'Hello down there! Look out!' I took my lamp and ran towards him. 'What's wrong? What's happened?' I called. I wondered why he had his arm in front of his eyes. As I came near him, I put out my hand to pull his arm away. But he wasn't there."
Did he go into the tunnel? I asked.
"No. I ran into the tunnel. I stopped and shone my lamp around, but there was nobody there. I was scared, so I ran out fast and came to my box. I sent a telegraph message. 'Alarm received. Is anything wrong?' The answer came back, 'All well.'"
I said that the person was probably a hallucination.
"Wait a moment, sir,"
the signalman said, touching my arm.
6 hours later, a terrible accident happened on this line. They brought a lot of dead and injured people out of the tunnel."
But it was only a coincidence, I said. A very strange coincidence.
"Excuse me, but I haven't finished yet, sir."
I'm sorry, I replied.
"This was a year ago. 6 or 7 months passed and I recovered from the shock. Then one morning at dawn, I saw the ghost again."
Did it call out? I asked.
"No, it was silent."
Did it wave its arm?
"No, it had its hands in front of its face, like this."
He covered his face with his hands. Did you go up to it?
"No, I came in and sat down very frightened,"
he said.
"When I went back to the door, the ghost was gone."
And afterwards? Did anything happen this time? I asked again.
"Yes. That day a train came out of the tunnel, and I saw in a carriage window a lot of people standing up, looking agitated. I gave a signal to the driver to stop. When the train stopped, I ran to it and heard terrible screams. A beautiful young lady was dying in one of the carriages. They brought her here and put her down on the floor between us.
I pushed back my chair in horror.
It's true, sir. That's exactly what happened. Now listen and you'll understand why I'm worried. The ghost came back a week ago, and I've seen it again 2 or 3 times.
Is it always at the red light? I asked.
Yes. The danger light.
What does it do?
It waves. Like this,
He replied. He repeated the movements that expressed the words, "Please get out of the way." Then he continued.
I have no peace or rest. It calls me many times. Hello down there! Look out! And it rings my bell.
Did it ring your bell yesterday when I was here? I asked him.
Twice,
He replied. Oh, it's your imagination. I was looking at the bell and listening for it, but it only rang when the station called you. The signalman shook his head.
No. The ghost's ring is different. You didn't see or hear it. But I did.
And was the ghost there when you looked out?
Yes. Twice.
Will you come to the door with me and look for it now? He came to the door and I opened it. Can you see it? I asked.
No. It's not there.
Right, I said. We went in, shut the door, and sat down. Now I was certain that the ghost did not exist.
I think you understand,
He said.
that I'm disturbed by one question. What does the ghost mean?
No, I don't understand you.
What is the ghost warning me about? What is the danger? Where is it? Some horrible disaster is going to happen, but what can I do? I can't send a telegraph to the station. What can I say? Message. Danger. Take care. Answer. What danger? Where? Message. Don't know, but be careful. They'll think I'm mad.
The poor signalman looked very worried. He pushed his fingers into his black hair. Then he took his handkerchief and wiped his face and hands.
Why doesn't the ghost tell me where the accident will happen? Why doesn't it tell me how I can prevent it? Why didn't it say that the beautiful young lady was in danger? My God, I'm only a poor signalman. Why me?
I tried to calm him down. I said he must do his duty well, as correctly as possible, and that was all. He became calm after a while, and I offered to stay with him for the night.
No, it's all right. Thank you,
He said.
Come back an hour after sunset tomorrow.
I left him at 2 o'clock in the morning. In my hotel room, I thought about what to do. The signalman was intelligent, careful, and correct in his work, but the situation disturbed him very much. How could he continue to do his job well? So I finally decided to take him to the best doctor in town. The next evening, I went out early. It was nearly sunset when I reached the path above the railway. I had another hour before the signalman came, so I decided to go for a walk. But as I looked down at the railway, I saw a man at the tunnel. He had his left arm in front of his eyes, and he was waving violently. I cannot describe my horror. But it passed when I saw that the man was not a ghost. He was a real person, and there were some other men not far away from him. The red light was not shining. Near it was a small object like a bed, covered with a sheet. I ran down the path very fast. "What's the matter?" I asked the men.
"The signalman is dead, sir,"
one of them said. "What? The man I know?"
"If you know him, you recognize him."
And the man pulled back the sheet. "Oh, how did this happen?" I cried, recognizing the dead signalman. The man at the tunnel came forward and spoke.
"A train knocked him down and killed him this morning. It was just getting light. The train came out of the tunnel, and he was standing with his lamp near the line, with his back to the train. Show the gentleman, Tom." "I'm the train driver, sir,"
Tom said.
"I saw the signalman as I came towards the end of the tunnel. There was no time to slow down. He didn't hear my whistle, so I shouted very loudly."
"What did you say?"
"I said, 'Hello, down there! Look out! Look out! Please get out of the way!' I called to him many times, and I put this arm in front of my eyes because I didn't want to see, and I waved this arm like this, but it was too late." Ligeia by Edgar Allan Poe. Chapter 1. A Beautiful Wife. I cannot remember how, when, or where I met Ligeia. It was a long time ago, and my memory is not good. But I think I met her first in a large old city near the Rhine in Germany. She told me that she came from an ancient family. But I never knew the family name of the woman who was my friend, my partner in my studies, and finally my wife. Why did I never discover her family name? Perhaps because she did not want me to find out. But I cannot remember. I remember one thing very well. Ligeia was tall and slim. Later, at the end, she became very thin. How can I describe her quiet, aristocratic movements or the strange softness of her footsteps? If she came into my office, I only knew she was there when I heard her voice, or when she put her white hand on my shoulder. She had a beautiful face, but it was not a classical kind of beauty. There was something strange about it. I have often tried to understand it. Was it her pure white skin or her thick black hair? I looked at her long, delicate nose many times. It was perfect. I looked at her sweet mouth. How soft and red it was. And when she smiled, her teeth were white. Then I looked into her eyes. They were much bigger than normal eyes. Sometimes, when she was excited, they looked like a deer's eyes. They were black, with long black eyelashes and black eyebrows. But as I looked into them, I realized that they had a strange expression. I thought about it for many hours, sometimes all night. What was the expression in those eyes? I wanted to know. Many times I thought I almost had the answer, but then it was gone. Ligeia was very determined. She was always calm and quiet, but her determination showed in her eyes. It shone like a terrible energy, and sometimes it frightened me. Ligeia was very clever. She was excellent at Latin and Greek, and she knew many other languages perfectly. She never made a mistake. She was also a student of science and mathematics. When we were first married, I often asked her for help with my studies, and we worked together. But after she died, I was alone. Without her, I was like a child in the dark. When she first became ill, she did not come to help me as often as before. She lost weight and her skin became pale and transparent. When I saw that she was dying, I felt desperate. Ligeia resisted death with all her energy. She was determined to live. I watched in agony as she fought for life. I knew she loved me, but I only understood how much she loved me now that she was dying. She held my hands and said that she was devoted to me. I cannot talk about it now, but let me say that her love for me was part of her determination to live. On the night she died, she suddenly got out of bed and cried, "Oh God, must I die? Must I lose my fight with death? No, I can't die like this." But my dear Ligeia died. I was so sad I could not stay in the old city by the Rhine. For a few months I travelled around, then I bought an old abbey in an isolated part of England. This dark, sad place expressed my feelings of loneliness. But I decorated it with beautifully coloured curtains, carpets and ornaments. I said to myself, perhaps the bright colours will make me feel happier. Unfortunately, they did not. I began to drink too much. But I do not want to speak about that time of my life. I will only say that one day I married Lady Rowena Trevanion of Tremaine. My new wife had blonde hair and blue eyes. She was very different from my first wife. But how could I ever forget Ligeia? Chapter 2. A Fight with Death. I took Lady Rowena back to a room high up in the tower of the abbey, where we lived for the first month of our marriage. The room was very large, with an enormous window made of glass from Venice. The ceiling was high, like a church, and in the centre there was a big gold chandelier. There were sofas from the east and an Indian bed. On the walls were long tapestries, like carpets, with designs made of gold. The tapestries moved every time the wind blew. My wife was afraid of me because I was often sad and depressed. She did not love me much and stayed away from me, but I preferred this. I always thought about Ligeia, my beautiful Ligeia, dead in the tomb. Sometimes in my dreams I called to her in the night. I imagined that perhaps my love for her could bring her back to me. At the beginning of the second month, Lady Rowena became ill. She did not sleep very well, and told me she could hear sounds and movements in the tower. "You have a fever," I said. "You're imagining things." She got better, but then she went back to bed with a second illness, worse than the first. The doctors could not understand it. Again, Rowena began to hear little sounds and movements in the bedroom, and they frightened her. One night, at the end of September, she woke up suddenly. I was sitting on a sofa by her bed. She whispered to me that she could hear sounds and see movements, and there was a frightened expression on her thin face. But I saw and heard nothing. "It's the wind," I explained. "You can see the tapestries moving in the wind." But her face was white with fear, and she nearly fainted. I remembered that there was some wine on the table on the other side of the room. As I walked under the light of the chandelier, a strange thing happened. I felt something invisible pass me, and on the carpet I saw a shadow, almost the shadow of a shadow. I decided to say nothing to Rowena. I poured out a glass of wine and gave it to her. Then I sat on the sofa and watched her. After some moments, I heard very quiet footsteps on the carpet coming towards the bed. A second later, as Rowena was about to drink the wine, I saw, or perhaps I dreamed that I saw, 3 or 4 large drops of a bright red liquid fall into the glass. Rowena did not see it. She drank the wine, and I said nothing because I thought it was only my imagination. After this, Rowena's health got much worse, and on the 3rd night she died. Her servants prepared her for the tomb, then covered her with a sheet. The next night I sat alone with her body in the bedroom. Strange forms and shadows moved around me. I looked nervously into the dark corners at the moving tapestries, and I felt frightened. Then I looked at the carpet under the chandelier. There was no shadow there, and I felt better. When I looked at Rowena on the bed, sad memories of Ligeia, the only woman I ever loved, came back to me. It was perhaps around midnight when I heard a sound. It was quiet but clear, and it woke me from my dreams. I thought it came from the bed. I listened in terror, but I did not hear it again. I looked carefully at Rowena for any sign of life. She was not moving, but I continued to look at her. Minutes passed. Then I noticed a little colour in Rowena's face. My heart stopped in horror. I could not move. When I understood that Rowena was not dead, I tried to revive her. But soon the colour disappeared from her cheeks. Her face looked like marble again, and her lips were thin with the horrible expression of death. When her body was cold and rigid, I fell onto the sofa and dreamed about Ligeia. An hour later, I heard the same sound as before. I listened. Yes, there it was again, a sigh from the bed. I ran over and saw clearly that her lips were trembling. Then they opened, showing her bright teeth. I thought I was going mad. There was a pink colour on her cheeks and neck. Her body was getting warm again, and her heart was beating a little. Lady Rowena was alive. I did everything I could to revive her. Then, suddenly, her colour disappeared. Her heart stopped, and her body became cold and rigid. I sat down and began to think about Ligeia again. Then again, for the 3rd time, there was a sound from the bed. But why must I describe the horrors of that night? Again, I tried to revive Rowena, and then a 4th time. Each time, she seemed to fight with an invisible force. And each time, her body changed. I cannot say how, but she looked different. It was nearly dawn when she moved again. I was sitting on the sofa, exhausted, but Rowena's body moved with more energy than before. Her colour returned, signs of life changed her face. Her eyes were closed, but she looked alive. Then she suddenly got out of bed and walked slowly to the centre of the room, like she was walking in her sleep. I did not tremble. I did not move. I was as cold and still as stone, paralyzed by what I saw. As I looked at her, my head filled with wild thoughts. Was Rowena really alive? Could I really see her blonde hair and blue eyes? Why wasn't I certain? I could not see her mouth very well, but her cheeks were like pink roses. Weren't they Rowena's cheeks? But wasn't she taller than before? I was filled with a kind of madness. I ran to her, but she moved away. Then I saw her long hair moving in the wind. It was blacker than the black of midnight. And now, slowly, her eyes opened. I shouted like a madman, "These are the black eyes of my lost love, the eyes of Ligeia."